Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Lisa, and today we're gonna do a 2024 recap. Oftentimes, we tend to be too hard on ourselves and we just look at the thing that we didn't do during the year. I decided to do an exercise this time and I wrote down every single thing that I did every single month, and I did a lot and I'm very proud of myself. I had an incredible year with Noah and I want to take you guys to the recap that happened this year. But before I do that, I cannot not go back to what led me to leave Canada in February. Let's start the 2024 recap so you guys can understand what happened exactly. I've been traveling for a lot of time, but I always find my way back to Canada. And to make the decision that that was it for me and my son was not an easy decision. So yes, it came with a lot of tears, a lot of emotion, excitement. I was overwhelmed. I had a lot to do. I was tired. I was exhausted, but also I did cry a lot. So February 4th, Noah and I officially take a plane to start our African tour. But if you know me, before I get to destination, I always like to do a stopover. And this time around, we stop in Paris. So what did we do in Paris? Well, mostly I drank wine. I ate some good food. We went to the tour, La Tour Eiffel. No one never been there, so I brought him to La Tour Eiffel. It wasn't my first time in Paris, but it was not my first time. So I went to La Tour Eiffel. We went to the Moulin Rouge. Mind you, maybe I should have not bring my son there. Maybe he's a little too young to go to the Moulin Rouge, but we went there and it was cold and we only did 3 days. Honestly, if I'm honest with you guys, I am not a fan of France. I'm not a fan of Paris. I am Haitian, so I'm always gonna feel some type of way when it comes to France. But I wanted my son to experience it, and he did, and he had a great time. We had great food, and I think the favorite thing that I like about doing that was the La Fondue. La Fondue was really fun to do with my son. So we stayed there for like 2-3 days, if I remember well, and after that we flew to Cape Town in South Africa. So we go to South Africa, Cape Town. Why did I pick that destination to be the first destination in my tour in Africa? Well, it's very simple. In November, I was already there and I had a really great time. But if I'm honest with you guys, from November, I already knew South Africa was not going to be the place that I will live in for multiple reasons. If you guys want me to film a video about why I didn't pick South Africa to live, I can do that. But today, it's not the time for that. However, I knew it didn't bother me to go back to South Africa within my travels while I was trying to figure out where I was going to live next. So once I was in South Africa, in Cape Town, I think a couple days into this trip, I realized that South Africa would not be my forever home. And I was going to have to travel within Africa to find where I was going to come home with my son. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And like I said, South Africa is just not the type of country that I will live in personally. It's so funny because I made a post on Instagram. Check this out. February 4th, I leave Canada. I go to Paris. The first day I'm in Cape Town, I already know I don't want to live in South Africa for the rest of my life. I made a post on Instagram on February 8th and I say, I love South Africa. Do I see myself living there for the rest of my life? Probably not. When I say I was moving to South Africa, I meant this is the place I will go back to after my travels. This year, I'm planning to visit many places in the continent. So many places to visit in Africa. I purposely left Africa for last because I knew I wasn't coming back. I know I will find my happy place here and I want to take you guys with me on this journey. And it's crazy to think that I wrote that really pretty on knowing what I know what happened later in the year. I think it's really crazy. And you need to keep watching this video to understand like how important that little piece of information was. That post was for me. That's exactly what I did. I think it's incredible that I said I was going to do something. I did exactly that. Let's move to February 22nd. Okay, so we're in Windhoek. We met an amazing family and they're like, let me show you around. Windhoek is the capital of Namibia. So we ended up spending 2 full days with them. So the first day they show us around, they invite me to their house, they cooked for me, it was really nice. And they said the next day, would you like to go to the village? I'm like, why not? I had never been to an African village at that point. So I'm like, let's go. So the next day we wake up, it was a Sunday, really early at 9 a.m. And we go do grocery shopping, they buy some alcohol, and we go on the road. It was like an hour and a half away from Windhoek, so we go there and I see the beautiful roads I never seen. And I've been to over 100 countries and I've never seen perfect roads like that like in Namibia. So at this point, we go there on the road, we just look at the roads, it's so beautiful. And Namibia is a There's a lot of desert there, so it's extremely hot. So we go to the village where we start and we play with the kids and we have fun with the people that live there, and we cook some food, and we drink a lot that day, and we go back home. So we ended up staying in Windhoek for about a week. After that, I went to another place in Windhoek. We decided that we wanted to have an adventure. So the way we did it is I didn't want to have a guide. We rented a car where you can camp on the top of the car. I think it was Noah's favorite activity this year is when we went camping in Namibia. So yes, we decided to rent a car with where we can pretty much camp on at the top of the car, and we go on a little adventure. It was supposed to take us 4 hours to get there. It took us 12 hours because we had no connection. We had to stop and ask people for direction. And it really felt like the 1980s. Like I had direction on, it was printed because Google Map was not working. So we're like, we got to figure out. So what was supposed to take 4 hours took up 12 hours, but it was a great experience because the view was absolutely incredible. And then while I was driving, I'm not gonna lie, I cried a couple times because when you realize what God has been doing with the hurt, it's just unbelievable. And for a lot of people think that Africa has nothing to offer, and I'm here to tell you that Africa is probably the richest continent I ever been to. And if you stop listening to the media, you have the time of your life there. So we drove there and we ended up camping, and that was, like I said, Noah's favorite activities. And yeah, we made some food, we had some fun, we drank some wine, and the next morning we wake up to go to the dunes and dead leaf. We went to dunes 45, which is I believe it's one of the highest dunes in the world. I don't think it's the highest, but it's for sure top 3 highest dunes in the world. So we go there, absolutely breathtaking. After we done doing that, we drive to the dead leaf. So we stop the car. The dead leaf is pretty much 900 years old trees, and it was nice to see, but I'm not gonna lie, the picture looked better than the way I felt at the moment that I was there. Does it make sense? You know, sometimes like you look at pictures like I really need to go there, and then you get there and it's underwhelming. That's how I felt. But let me tell you, I almost didn't make it there because it was at least 45 degrees. It was hot. I had to leave Noah in the car because I couldn't get him with me. And we went there, we took pictures, we come back. At that point, we are exhausted. So we drove to the lodge. When I tell you, I booked the cutest little lodge. It was incredible. In our backyard, we had elephants, zebras, giraffe. We could literally touch them if you wanted to. Now, is it safe to do that? No, so we didn't do it. But they were so close to us that we couldn't touch them. And it was such an incredible experience that at the time we got there, we were supposed to stay for one night. We said like, oh no, we gotta stay for at least 3 nights. So we ended up extending the trip a little longer there, and it was absolutely incredible. 3 days there. We took the car back to Windhoek, to the capital, for a couple of days, and then we were ready for our next adventure. Now, like, guys, I'm gonna say the name of the next place that been to, but like, don't judge me. I don't speak the language, but I think this says Sosufle. The reason why I wanted to go there is because when I was doing my research, I learned there was a place in the world when the ocean and the desert were meeting, and I had to get there. So I went there just for that. We ended up taking a bus there, and then when we got there, we had a tour guide to bring us to Walvis. Walvis is where the desert and the ocean meet, and it was really incredible. Took a 4x4, and it was just driving to these dunes in the desert, and it was a great experience. It was Noah's first experience in the desert. So it was fun, but what's really incredible is we got to eat at the top of the dunes, so we got to see the ocean and the desert at the background while eating our food. One of the best experience of my life. That's the type of thing that you don't even think that it's real in the pictures. Like, you have to get there to understand how incredible Earth is, truly. So my recommendation to you is, if Namibia was not on your bucket list, add it. Not a lot of people go there, but it was one of the best experience of my life. We're done with Namibia. Actually, we drove back to Windhoek, the capital, and then at that point, the trip to Namibia was coming to an end, and I'm like, where is the next place I want to go? And I look at the map, and what's close to Namibia? Botswana. Africa is not like Europe. It's not that easy to travel within countries. You often have to go back to like a really busy place, a very busy city, to fly to another place. So in this case, we had to take a flight from Namibia to Johannesburg in South Africa in order to go to Botswana. So we take the flight to go to Johannesburg, and we ended up spending 4 days in Johannesburg. I was sick for the 4 days, so we didn't do much. By the time I felt better, it was time for us to take our bus to Botswana. From Johannesburg to the capital of Botswana, Gaborone, it's 8 hours. So we take the bus. I'm gonna tell you, I don't remember the company of that specific bus, but that was the best bus company I took in Africa. It was absolutely clean, incredible, and the server was great. They left at time, we arrived at time. It was great. So we take a bus from Johannesburg to go to Gaborone. I think we spent about a week and a half or 2 weeks in Botswana. The first few days we stayed in Gaborone, it was nice. We mostly went to eat. They had really great restaurant in Botswana. I remember that. And great nightlife. I went out one time at night and it was great. But other than that, it was really the food that stood up for me. We also went on long hike, and the reason why I'm smiling is because it was Noah's first hike and he did it like a gem. He didn't want to have any help. He didn't want me to carry him. He just did it himself. And it was an incredible experience. After we did that, we took a bus from Gaborone to go to another city. It was a 13-hour bus. It was one of the most scariest experiences of my life. On our way to that destination, we almost got into a really bad car accident. And the reason for that is while they were driving, there was an elephant that was crossing the street. The bus driver tried to, not hit the elephant, which he ended up not hitting the elephant, but by doing so, we ate something else. Like when I tell you, all I remember, because it's like a blur in my mind, because it was a really a traumatizing experience. All I remember is Noah sleeping, and we hit a pothole that was so bad that Noah's body went up like this. And all I remember is taking my son from the air so I can protect him. So that was very, very scary. But we made it in life. By the grace of God, we made it in life. And we were at destination. And then when we were there, we went to the elephant sanctuary. If you don't know, elephant are my favorite animals. I had a blast there. It was absolutely incredible. And after the elephant sanctuary, we did a day trip to go see one of the biggest delta of the world. At first, I was not even excited to go there, but once I got there, it was really peaceful. It was a great experience. It was so nice. I felt so great there. Yeah, we had the best experience, and our tour guide was absolutely incredible, so kind to us. Like he did way more than what he was supposed to do with us. But that's the thing. One thing I can tell about what Botswana is, how do you say that? People from Botswana are Botswanan? Botswanan? Okay, people from Botswana, hospitality is A1. So that's one thing I remember about Botswana is how kind and how great the people were. And at that time, it was the end of the trip. It was time for us to take a bus to go to our next destination. Uh, but like I said, I recommend Botswana. And honestly, Botswana is a country that I feel like I need to do it again. And I need to do it in a different way, in a more local way, and less touristy. Just like Namibia, Botswana is not a country that a lot of people go to, but I highly recommend it. It was really an incredible experience. The food was great. Hospitality was A1. So if you ever get the chance to go to Botswana, you go ahead and go. After Botswana, again, we look at the map and we're like, okay, what's close to Botswana? Zimbabwe. So we found a bus from Botswana to Zimbabwe. It was an overnight bus. It takes 13 hours. And when you get there, you just cross the border by foot. So that's what you do. So we ended up taking the bus, which was another, you know, bus ride from hell. That's how I call it, because there was a lot of pothole on my way there, and it was not all the way safe. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't really recommend taking buses everywhere in Africa because it's not always safe. We did it. It was an experience. Would I do it again? Probably not. But I'm glad we did it that way. And the thing is, when you travel full time, you don't have the luxury to always fly because it's more expensive. So you actually need to cut somewhere to some places. So that's what we did, and it gave great stories. But now that I did it, I wouldn't really recommend it. But we got to Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls, and if you don't know Victoria Falls, the falls in Victoria Falls are one of the wonders of the world. So I was really excited to get there, so I can bring the one to his first wonder of the world. And I never been there, so I was exciting. So we get to Victoria Falls, which is the city, and we ended up going to the first night. We ended up going to the Boma restaurant experience. It was incredible. And Noah got to play some drum. They put you like cultural clothes on you. They can paint your face if you want to. And then the food is great. It's a lot of Zimbabwean food there. And it was a great experience. Everybody was dancing. Everybody was having a lot of fun. And this is what we did the first time we got to Zimbabwe. It was great. We got to see the falls. We got to walk for hours, and Noah got to see his first big. It was his second falls. We've been to Niagara Falls in Canada before that, so it was the second one. But the Victoria Falls is way bigger, and it's a different experience. And yeah, we were just happy to be in one of the wonders of the world, and we felt so at peace. After we were done with the falls, we decided to take a bus to go to the capital of Zimbabwe, which is Harare. And this is where I think I found a love with the country. Zimbabwe is absolutely gorgeous. The trees are so high and so green. And I believe it is illegal to cut any trees in Zimbabwe. And I don't know if it's 100% true, but if it's true, it makes sense because the views were incredible. Also, one thing that I realized in Zimbabwe is extremely kid friendly. Every restaurant you go to, there's a playground for kids. So I get to have my mommy time while my son is can enjoy himself. We also ended up going to a poetry night, which was great, and we spent a lot of time with the locals. And one thing I will say, Zimbabwean people have to be the kindest people I encountered this year. They were just so kind and so. I just love their spirit, and I love the way they are. I love the way they love. They like to live. They're always smiling. It doesn't matter what's going on in their life. They're always so jovial and so happy. So Zimbabwe is definitely a country I want to go back to. The one negative thing I will say about Zimbabwe is the economy is crashed. So they use US dollars over there. So it's extremely expensive to stay in Zimbabwe for a long period of time, which is probably the reason why we ended up leaving after a short time. I don't even think we spent like 2 weeks in Zimbabwe, even though it's one of my favorite countries that I saw this year. It was too expensive to stay because of the US dollar. So that's one of the, downfall of the country. But except for that, it was great. And actually, I want to go back. And next time I go back, now that I have a lot of Zimbabwe friends, I'm going to do it the local way. Okay, so March 29 is when we left Zimbabwe to go back to South Africa. That was the end of our little mini adventures. It ended up being almost 8 weeks of us traveling between Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. But it was time to go back to South Africa for a while because we needed a break from traveling, and honestly, we were just tired. So March 29, we looked at a flight ticket to go back to South Africa, and the pricing are absolutely crazy. I'm talking like $800 for an hour. So we're like, okay, we need to find another option, and this is when we find online a 48-hour bus drive back to Cape Town. From Harare to Cape Town, it was 48 hours. So we're like, we have nothing to do. Let's do it. So we take the bus and we get it to the border of South Africa. We spend almost 10 hours at the border because when you go to South Africa, if you are on a bus from Zimbabwe, if you have a Zimbabwean passport, they take fingerprints, pictures, they ask questions to everybody on the bus. Because me and Noah, we were Canadian, it took actually 2 seconds for ours to be stamped, and they let us go, but we had to wait for all the people on the bus. So it ended up being 10 hours of waiting for everybody to be done at the border. It was definitely an experience. At that point, we've been on the bus for like 4 hours, plus 10 hours, 14 hours. We suck it up and we stay on the bus until we reach Johannesburg. And at that point, it was 24 hours. When we got to Johannesburg, I looked at the flight ticket from Johannesburg to Cape Town, and I realized that the flight ticket is only $100. So guess what we did? No, we did not finish the 48 hours because, baby, we were struggling. So we took our stuff from the bus and we left. We left the bus and we just decided to take a flight to Cape Town, which was 2 hours. Johannesburg to Cape Town is only a 2-hour flight. So we did that. So the next, I think April 1st, we finally made it to Cape Town. We ended up staying in Cape Town for 7-8 weeks, which we had a great time. I'm talking, we went wine tasting, we went high tea. I met so many people, I made so many friends there. Day parties all the time. Cape Town is really fun during summertime. It is summertime at that time of the year. So we're just chilling. Truly, I think I was out every single day. I was barely on Instagram. I was just living my life. Go on day parties, night parties, shisha, like I said, wine tasting. We did so many stuff and just chilling in general, getting to know the people. And the more I was there, though, the more I realized that I didn't want to stay in Cape Town. But the time that I was there for the 2 months was absolutely incredible. It was really fun. I think the one of the most fun I had, just because of the friends that I made, and we got karaoke. Like, we were dancing in the living room doing nothing. That's when I got to meet so many Congolese, so many Zimbabwean. If you don't know, in South Africa, there's a lot of different African nations that live there because there's a lot of opportunities. So pretty much it was really laid back, but really, really fun to be in South Africa. Around May, winter time is coming in South Africa. It's getting windy, it's getting cold, and so I know it was my time to leave the country again. But this time for good, because I know that I was going back to Canada in August. So around May, I started making researches where it's gonna be our next destination to go to. Up until that point, I don't know where I'm gonna live yet. South Africa is a no, Namibia is a no, Botswana is a no, Zimbabwe is a no. All these 4 countries I don't want to live in. So I haven't found my home yet. And I'm starting to, lose a little bit of hope, to be honest with you guys. And then, so I made research. And if I'm honest with you guys, I wanted to go to West Africa. I'm Haitian, so my ancestors are all from West Africa. But I look at the flight tickets and I'm like, no, I can't afford to pay like $1,000 for me and no one is $2,000 just to go to another side of Africa. So I made research, and the 2 countries that came that were affordable, one was West African, was Senegal, and the second one was East Africa, which was in Kenya. So I really didn't want to go to Kenya because I wanted to experience Kenya with somebody that's really special to me. Yeah, I was trying to stay away from Kenya. So for me, I wanted to go to Senegal, but we ended up just putting the 2 countries in a bowl and had Noah pick one country. And the winner was Kenya. And this is how I ended up being in Kenya for the first time. Yes, so mid-May, we decided, okay, we're going to Kenya. We do the visa process. Well, there's not a visa process, but we had to do the ETAs. We take care of that. And we pack our stuff from South Africa and we go to Kenya until the end of this tour. So I go to Kenya and I arrive in Nairobi. And now I'm gonna need you guys to pay attention, and I'm getting emotional because God is so faithful. We take a flight and I have zero expectation. First of all, I don't even want to be there because, like I said, I wanted to experience Kenya with somebody that's really close to me. So I already felt bad I was going, and we flew on May 23rd. And I had no expectation, zero expectation, and I don't want to do anything in Kenya. And by the time I get to Kenya, I look at the place and I'm like, oh my God, I feel at home. And up until this point, I didn't feel at home in any other country. It was really a surreal experience for me because I really gave up finding my home at this point. I'm just like, okay, me and Noah, we're just gonna we're gonna have to travel for a long while until we found home. But no, after day number 2 in Kenya and Nairobi, it feel like home, and it's just feel good. Up until that point in my journey, that particular year, I haven't opened my Bible on nothing. And at the moment I get to Kenya, I can feel the Spirit telling me that it's time to focus. So when I got to Kenya, I made a decision that I was not going to drink while I was there. And I was going to focus on my spiritual health, my mental health, and my physical health. So I get there, I finally open my Bible, I start doing devotion again, I start praying again, worshiping again. I go back to the gym, I start eating healthy. I lost at least 25 pounds in the 2 months I was in Kenya. I started taking care of myself. I started to pray a lot, fast a lot, because I wanted to hear from God. So the first week in Nairobi, I didn't do much. I didn't go out. I was just getting back into a routine, getting back into the healthy. It finally felt like I was home, and in this country, I could create a living for my son and I. But I was there for a week and I did make a decision right away. So the first week in the course, we went to Nyali. Nyali is incredible. We had such a good time. That's why we discovered the freshness of the food, the freshness of the fruits and the vegetable. We were cooking at home. The beach was absolutely incredible. If I'm honest with you, as soon as I got to Nyali, I felt like I was in Kappa Ising in Haiti. It looked exactly the same, and the people were the same, even down to the music. Like Copa, when I listen to Kenyan music, I can hear the Copa in the back. So I'm like, I get it. I know we're all African. I know we're all the same, but I never experienced something this close that felt like home like that. So yes, we in Nairobi. We're just having a good time. The second week, we take a ride to Watamu. Watamu is pretty much a lot of Italians live there, I will say. So even it was a really beautiful place, I'm not gonna lie. And keep in mind we were there during low season in Watamu, so most restaurants were closed, but we got to experience the locals. And honestly, we stayed home for most of the time we were in Watamu. I was in my Bible, I was praying, and for the first time in a really long time or ever in my life, God started giving me a vision for my life. And it was such a great moment for me because I never felt up until that point that I had a purpose in life. And that's something I really struggle with. But it's getting clearer and clearer that what God had for me was bigger than what I was. And I had to put my faith in Him and trust in Him with everything I was going to do. But it was a surreal moment for me because I remember crying for years about not knowing what I wanted to do out of my life, and coming to Kenya and having God talking to me the way He did, because I rest and I stay quiet with Him and I pray and I fast. It's a feeling that I still cannot explain, and I think one day I'm going to make a video just talking about that because it will take hours for me to tell you guys how I felt at that moment. So week 3 after Watamu, went to Diani. Once again, Diani beaches was incredible. It was so nice, so beautiful. The people were incredible. Noah met a good friend over there, and until this day we still talk to him. Hi, Uncle Frank. We're gonna come see you really, really soon. I remember when I was in Diani, we went for the sunset at the beach in Congo River, and Noah was playing with the motorcycle driver, and I remember just sitting down and having a moment of gratitude that, oh my God, I am home. God wants me to move to Kenya. This is it. This is home. So I'm starting to be excited, but very overwhelmed because how am I going to do that truly? But one thing that I know now is when there's a vision, there's provision. So at that point, I'm starting to look at different properties to move to Kenya. What can I do in Kenya? Business ideas. I'm starting to really make a plan to when I leave Kenya, but I'm leaving Kenya to come back to Kenya. Up until that point, it never happened to me. So now it's June 2024. I'm in Kenya. I know Kenya is going to be my next home. I know I'm going back to Canada to really organize my life to move to Kenya permanently. And it feels exciting, but it feels really overwhelming. And I'm also grieving the fact that, okay, for real, I'm not going to go back to Canada to live. I'm not only going to go back for vacation. So after Diani, we go to Kilifi. And I think Kilifi is probably my favorite place in the coast. And if I'm honest with you guys, it's my end goal is to move to Kilifi. So we go to Kilifi and I meet a local that just show us around. We went to so many places. That's where I really, really take the time to make a plan about what it means to be a digital nomad and what it is. How can I attain digital wealth? So this is where my focus started to switch. My mind, my brain started to switch between having a traditional business to start making money online. Now I need to find a way to make a lot of money online if I want to afford to come and live in Kenya. But I'm not going to move to another country just to be miserable. So I know I need to upgrade my life. So I'm started looking at ways to how to do that. We went to a village there that was fun. We also went to the Vuma Cliff, which was absolutely gorgeous to look at. And after Kilifi, it was time for us to go back to Nairobi. We ended up taking a train back to Nairobi, and we stayed in Nairobi for 3 weeks. I didn't go out in Nairobi. I was really focused on the vision at this point. I was fasting and praying every day. I was at the gym. We got to Nairobi at the same time that was a protest in Nairobi because the government was trying to raise the taxes and the locals were not having it. And let me tell you, they fight their way until the president said, we're going to remove that law. They fight. So it was beautiful to see, but it was a little bit dangerous. And so we stayed at home. And unfortunately, the government was cutting off power and electricity to make the people really uncomfortable so they could stop protesting, but they didn't stop. They ended up protesting until the end. It was incredible to see, actually. It was really, really, I feel like if more countries did what Kenya did, the world would be in a better place, truly. So for the 3 weeks I was in Nairobi, I was mostly home. I brought Noah to a lot of kid-friendly stuff. So I wanted Noah to see the city too. I went to visit some schools. I went to visit some house. I met with different people in Nairobi to know like how I was gonna make that move a thing for us. So when I went back to Nairobi, I went back with the mind that God has a vision for me and I'm gonna be obedient, even though it makes me feel uncomfortable. It also is the time that I made the decision to have a YouTube channel. And it's also the time that I told myself that I will no longer let being introverted be the reason why I will not be walking in my purpose. So the 2 months that I spent the end of May, June, and half July that I spent there was a really important time in the year. It was probably the most important time in the year for me because it really did redirect my life to where it is right now. And I'm smiling and crying at the same time because it was really a crucial point in my life and it was amazing. So July 15th is the day that we leave in Nairobi to go back to Cape Town for only 1 week, and I'm sad, but I'm like so excited because I know I'm coming back in Nairobi and in Kenya in general. So I'm excited. So we go take the plane in Nairobi on July 15th, and it was a disaster. Pretty much, I don't know what happened that day, but the airport was a disaster. We missed our flight. We ended up being rescheduled 2-3 times for God knows what. And then we get to Johannesburg and Kenya Airways lose all our luggages. I mean, all of them. All of them were lost. And we have 1 week to spend in Cape Town, and I have 1 week to Cape Town before I go to my Euro trip with Noah. And I have no clothes, no nothing, and it's freezing. It was around 25 degrees in Kenya. We're going back to winter time in South Africa. It was like 5 degrees, and I don't have no clothes for my son and I. So the first thing we did is we ended up going to buy a few things just to survive while they try to figure out to find our luggages. If I'm honest, Kenya Airways, you need to do way better because the experience that we had with you guys was not the greatest. That being said, we ended up spending 1 week in Cape Town, and we did nothing. I was mostly home. I was getting ready for my Euro trip. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, we always like to do stopovers on our way to a place that's far. So, on our way back to Canada, because I was gonna go to Canada for a month, we decided to do a 10-day Euro trip. So on July 22nd, we take a flight from Cape Town all the way to Brussels in Belgium, and for 10 days, me and Noah, we went to Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg for the first 5 days of the trip. It was nice. The food was great. I drank some wine. Noah got some waffle. We enjoyed like good food. If you've been to Europe, you know like the food is good in Europe and it's fresh. So we had a great time. I went to Luxembourg, which is the richest country of the world. I'd never been there, so I was excited, and Noah was excited to go there. Then when we were in Netherlands, we ended up going on a day that it was a Caribbean festival. So I got to eat Jamaican food for the first time in 6 months, and it was great to have Caribbean food inside of me. I'm not gonna lie, I was happy about that. From Belgium, we took a bus from Belgium all the way to Portugal. So you need to understand that that summer was the summer of the Olympics, and all the flights were extremely expensive and sold out. So we had to take a bus there, and it took like 28 hours, but it was fun this time. And the reason why it was fun is from Belgium, we went to France, and we got to stay in France a little bit. And after France, we went to Spain. We spent a little bit of time in Spain too. And then from Spain, we ended up going to Porto in Portugal, and oh my god, Portugal was really nice. Me and Noah, we had a lot of fun in Portugal. I went to a Porto tasting. We went to do some pastries there. We did some shopping there. We did a boat ride there. It was so nice. So pretty much Portugal was the end of our trip before going back to Canada. We was like a whole 6 months of me and Noah traveling the world. On our way from Porto, we had a layover in the Azores. The Azores is an island that belongs to Portugal, and we had a layover that was almost 24 hours. For some reason, I didn't get it, so I didn't plan anything. So when we got to the Azores, I realized it was 24 hours. We didn't have a place to stay, and I ended up booking Noah's first hostel experience, and he absolutely loved the experience. He had so much fun there, and it was great. But most importantly, I need to go back to the Azores. It was such a great experience. It was so beautiful. Accommodation were not cheap, but to eat there was actually not bad at all. And I felt like there was not a lot of people there. It's way less touristy.
The beach was incredible, so beautiful. I felt so much at peace there. The Azores is definitely a place that I want to go back there and spend way more time there. After 24 hours, it was time for us to take a flight from the Azores straight to Toronto, Canada. I had a lot of feelings going back to Canada. I was excited to see my friends and family, but also I was anxious because Canada has so much hurt in my I had so much hurt in my heart when it comes to Canada, but I was also happy to go there. So August 1st is the day that we flew from the Azores all the way to Toronto, Canada. My plan was to stay in Canada for only 30 days, but quickly I realized that if I really wanted to make the move to Kenya, I really needed to close my chapter in Canada. So 30 days ended up being 3 months. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, it was a hard 3 months for me. Depression, a lot of cries. I didn't want to be there. It got cold, and you know your girl doesn't do cold. But I think it was necessary for me to get there for a few reasons. One reason is I got to get so close to one of my girlfriends who's now like a sister to me, Shamara, and her whole family. They took me, they let me stay in their house for 3 months, and it was a great experience to be with them. And I had so much to do before leaving Canada. So that's when I started really researching digital wealth, and I also was researching homeschooling for Noah. I also took the time to change any government thing that had to be done. Had Everything was settled. I had to take care of my car because I was not going to go back to Canada. A few things I had to really, really take care of so I could close the chapter of Canada and leave. By the time it was November, it was time for me to leave again. I realized that I was kind of sad. I was crying because I'm like, okay, I knew I was leaving. I know I packed my stuff early in the year to leave, but this time I was living with a plan, a vision, and a purpose in life. So it felt completely different leaving this time. I felt like I got this. I was afraid, I was sad, I was overwhelmed, but I was mostly super excited. November 9 is the day we're officially leaving for Kenya. At that point, while I was in Canada, I found my realtor, I found the people that was going to help me make the process easier, and they're all waiting for me to get there so we can start the process of me relocating to Kenya. But before I got to Nairobi, again, you gotta love a stopover. We ended up having a stopover in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And, up until I think 2018, tourists couldn't go to Saudi Arabia. Only Muslim people were allowed to go there. But now they open it to the world. So we get there. And I was excited because I've never been to Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you something, there's not much to do in Saudi Arabia. Alcohol is illegal. Everything is illegal. However, the food scene is absolutely incredible. So I spent 2 days eating, and I mean eating like crazy. I spent 2 days eating my little heart out, and I'm really happy. I'm excited to go to Saudi Arabia. I didn't have no Wi-Fi, no nothing when I got there, so I couldn't really communicate with anybody. So yes, I stayed there for 2 days, and then from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, I had a 4-hour flight to Nairobi. November 13, we officially get to Nairobi in Kenya, and it felt good. We rented Airbnb only for 3 days because the same weekend I decided to book a birthday trip to Lamu, my birthday trip. So for the 16th to the 19th, I ended up being in Lamu in Kenya, and it was so peaceful. It was exactly what I needed to start my journey in Kenya. I ate some incredible seafood, good food, the beach, the people, the peace. In Lamu, there's no car. Everybody's so laid back, and it's so different from Nairobi. And I needed that before starting my real journey in Nairobi. So on November 19, we took a flight back to Nairobi, and this is when I feel like my life started. The days after we went to Nairobi, that's when I went to visit places, apartments, and I did find my apartment on November 22nd. And the week after that, I was moving in my new apartment in Kenya. And right now, how I'm talking to you is from this exact apartment that is unfurnished. So there's a lot of things that comes with moving to another country. It's not all, unicorn and rainbows. It definitely is a struggle. Really? Yeah. So, like I was saying, I found my place. Now it's time to furnish my place. So lately, I've been going to a lot of furniture shopping. I've been meeting people. I've been trying new restaurants. I've been going out. I've been getting into the groove of moving to Kenya, and it comes with a lot of feelings. And I think again, that's gonna be another video because there's so much going on. Happening all at the same time. So you're gonna have to stay tuned to see the rest of what's about to happen. But at this point, we're already in December. I'm gonna finish the video by saying that I am very, very, very proud of myself. Sometimes I feel like we are so hard on ourselves that we tend to forget all the positive that happened during the year. And every time September comes, it's always like this weird feeling of I feel unaccomplished because I said I was going to do that and this and that and I didn't do it. But this year is different. How I was when I took the time to sit down and do month by month, I realized how much I did and how much God is so faithful because everything I said I was going to do, I did. And I did it the God way. We're finishing the year really soon. And for me, I want to submit something to you guys. It's okay to make plans for 2025. It's okay to have goals and all of that. But sometimes it's important to just sit down and really truly appreciate what happened during that year. You know, like yes, maybe I didn't do all my to-do lists. Yes, I didn't accomplish all my goals, but I am extremely proud of myself this year. I am officially starting a new chapter in my life, which it's big to me because after traveling and being in suitcases for almost 2 years, being able to go back to find a place that I can unpack and give my son some stability is more than I could ever ask for. And for that, I'm really grateful. If you made it until this point, guys, I'll thank you guys. I know it was a long video, but so much happened and I didn't even get into the real details of what happened all year. And let me know if you want to know like the ugly side of traveling because there's a lot of things that happened that I didn't get to tell you guys on this video. And I would love to make a video about how it feels like the real reality of a full-time traveler. But that being said, my next question to myself is what's next for 2025? I think for 2024, my rest season in 2024 was necessary, and I think I have all the energy to go into 2025 in my purpose and in the vision. Okay, and I want to keep my eyes on the vision. That's first of all. Second of all, for the first time in a very long time, guys, I do not feel the need to travel right away. I'm at peace in Kenya, and I will be staying in Kenya for at least 6 months before I travel. Now, what are my plans for 2024 is to focus, like I said, on the vision, get back to work, my YouTube channel, having a bigger audience. I want to inspire a lot of moms, a lot of parents in general, a lot of everybody truly, that they can, if you really put your mind into it, you can really have the life that you deserve. But also, my goal for 2025 is to get to West Africa. Like I said in this video earlier, I am Haitian and most Caribbean are from West Africa, and I feel like until I get to West Africa, I don't think I will experience and feel like I am really in my roots. Kenya is home, but I still want to go see what's going on in West Africa. At one point, I will be going back to Canada for a few weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, not too long, because I did realize that if I stay too long in Canada, I get depressed. But truly, 2025, I'm just gonna live I'm gonna walk in my purpose, guys. I am ready. Everything that I fear in life up into this life for 35 years, that's it. I'm gonna do it anyway. If God wants me to do something, I'm gonna be right for it. So yeah, this is the end of the video. And again, if you made it to the end, I thank you. Let me know in the comments what you want to see from me. What you want to hear from me, what exactly in the process you would like to see, because there's so much going on in my life, but I don't know what to share and what not to share. Sometimes I feel like the devil is trying to put in my mind that my life is so not interested, but the devil is a lie, because my life is incredible. Just like your life is probably incredible too. And thank you for tuning in. Happy New Year, and I'm wishing you guys a lot of love and blessing, and I will see you next year on my next video. Love you guys.